Lords of the Fallen is the brand new Unreal Engine 5 Souls-like game that I had the pleasure of playing recently. This game, while definitely a challenge, was a game that I did enjoy a lot. What is up, my dwellers of the interwebs? I'm Sorensen, and this is my first impression on the game Lords of the Fallen. Story-wise, you start off with a cinematic of a Dark Crusader who gets rid of his lantern, throwing it into an underground pit. This lantern has the ability to bring souls back to life, which is where you come into the game. You are then sent out on a quest by a religious group who ask you to light the 5 beacons in order to stop an evil god from returning to the land of Mornstead.
The beacons must be cleansed, the hallowed sentinels restored, and Adir's malignancy eradicated. Through whatever is to come.
There are 10 classes that you can choose from, some being more challenging to play than others. I decided to go with the Dark Crusader since it said it was a class suited for those who play aggressively. So I thought it would be a good fit for me. But there are some classes like the Condemned, which have in big bold letters, "Pick at your own risk." A class that I'm sure is meant for the ultra hardcore Souls-like players who love the ultimate challenge. Something I would never choose. I was surprised to find out that there was even a character creation menu in this game, which seemed odd to me because I'm pretty sure you are covered in armor the whole time in this game. But regardless of what I thought, I felt that the character creator was very detailed. You could pick different head shapes, hair, and facial hair. Sadly, there was no female option though. You can only play as a male in this game. You can choose what kind of build you want your character to have too. You can go for a more muscly frame or a skinnier one. Gameplay wise, you will be exploring both the realms of Axiom and Umbral. Axiom being the realm of the living and Umbral being the realm of the dead. While the worlds run parallel to one another, in order to get past certain obstacles in the Axiom or Umbral realms, you will have to gain access to one or the other realm. So if there is no way forward in the realm of Axiom, you can choose to use your lantern to enter the realm of Umbral. But when you do enter the realm of Umbral, you cannot leave Umbral until you find a totem that will let you phase back into the realm of the living, into the realm of Axiom. There's plenty of destructible objects in this game, however, I have yet to find anything valuable from purposefully breaking them. I feel like they just are there to break for an effect, more than anything else. You can, however, find glowing orange lights on the ground, which can give you items like consumables, for example. This game's combat felt a bit too complicated for a non-Souls player like myself. There was a lot more buttons to press than I was expecting. Have a light and heavy attack which you will use for most of the time. There is also a multi-attack combo, which I never was able to fully pull off very well. My favorite attack though was to kick people off ledges whenever possible. That was always funny. There is also a ranged attack mode, which you can either use a ranged weapon for it, or you can also throw things like rocks or other throwable objects. The game also has a target system, so you can strafe around your enemies and dodge. The fights can be intense regardless of what enemy you are encountering, and there was plenty of times where I died to a standard monster, not even a boss. Speaking of the bosses, I love how there was a cinematic for the boss intro, and the boss was very challenging.
And yet you now appear before me, a stranger, bearing what was not yours to receive.
I did die many times, I will admit it. It was very intense. Interestingly enough, the game did let me recruit this NPC who was helping me earlier, and they could join the fight. However, this doesn't mean that they will win the fight for you. They will help to hold the aggro away from you, allowing you to do more damage to the boss if you can. But even with the assistance of the NPC, I still struggled a fair amount, and it took me many attempts to take her down. And even when I did take her down, if there wasn't the ability to revive in the Umbral realm, to keep on fighting, I think I wouldn't have defeated this boss. This is obviously a skill issue on my part. I'm just not very good at these games, but even though I did struggle a lot, I still eventually managed to take the boss down. The quality of the fight and the combat itself was fantastic, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Vestiges are the checkpoints of the game. You need to activate a vestige in order to bind yourself to that place, so that when you die, you will respawn back at the last vestige you bound yourself to. You can also level up your character from the vestige as long as you have enough vigor to spend on leveling yourself up. The vestige is also where you can call upon a friend to play with you. This is how you play co-op in Lords of the Fallen. The visuals in the game are amazingly stunning. I cannot get over how beautiful Unreal Engine 5 is, and it ran surprisingly well on my computer too. I had a very smooth experience at ultra settings. The lighting and graphics are so good to look at, and I kept finding myself stopping just to admire it all. I did think the water ripples felt a bit stiff though when you would walk in the water areas. Other than that, the graphics were a visual feast for my eyes, and I look forward to more Unreal Engine 5 games in the future. The audio was awesome too. I could hear all the footsteps and creaks and creepy sounds while I explored Mornstead. The ambient sound and combat sound effects are impactful and sounds appropriate. Overall, I'd say that Lords of the Fallen was a fantastic experience in all aspects of the game. The gameplay was interesting enough to keep me around, though I did find the use of two realms to be a bit confusing at the beginning. But I do think that the swapping between the Axiom and Umbral realms to get around the world was a very interesting experience. I remember when I was trying to find the correct way to the next area, and I walked through the small water area, and I forgot to use my lamp to check the Umbral realm to see if I can pass this way. And I just assumed I could swim through the water. Turns out you can't swim in the game, and I drowned, which I then revived into the Umbral realm, and that's when I realized that in the Umbral realm the water wasn't there. Things like that were pretty cool, and the game requires you to pay attention to your surroundings as much as possible. If you're a lover of Souls-like games, you should definitely consider buying Lords of the Fallen. Now, I do want to say that at the moment on Steam, the reviews are mixed, and a lot of people are complaining about performance issues, lots of stuttering, low frame rate, things like that. While I only experienced that at the beginning of the game when I loaded in, they did release a patch on the first day after a few hours to, I assume, fix or help with performance problems. And during my gameplay, I had absolutely no issues whatsoever. So I can't say for everyone, but for me personally, in my journey in this game, I had no issues. So there you have it. That's my first impression on the game, Lords of the Fallen. Thank you for watching. I'm Sin. Have a fantastic day. Please drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed my content, and hit that bell icon to stay up to date on all my upcoming videos. And if you're watching this on taptap.io or on the TapTap app, I hope you'll consider following my profile as well. Bye bye!